What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Moguls. My name is Grant Findlay-Shirras, and on today's show, we have the founder and CEO of Zavvie, the first national instant offer aggregator, the kayak of iBuyers, where savvy home sellers can go to their website, collect and compare, and choose the best iBuyer offer to maximize the return on their sale. He's also the founder of 8Z Real Estate, a leading Colorado brokerage where his agents sell 6 times more homes than the average agent. They are the hyper-local specialists in their neighborhood, which everyone knows is an important thing these days, and their brokerage has over 3,000 reviews on Zillow. He's been an entrepreneur in the real estate tech space with a background in private equity world, and he's even worked with Jim Collins from Good to Great. And what I think is most cool is the fact that he was a Cobra attack helicopter pilot. So I'm excited to get to know his story and his views on the future of real estate and what he thinks it takes for agents to be great. So let's get started and get to know Mr. Lane Hornung.
Hey, Grant.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Did I pronounce it Lane Hornung? Is that it?
Yeah, it's close enough. That'll work.
How do you say it?
Like, Paul Hornung, the running back.
Hornung?
People always ask me, is that your uncle? And unfortunately, no, but pronounced the same way.
Okay, so you have a really cool story going back to when you were in the military and doing this helicopter pilot stuff. So why don't you kind of just let people know about your story and how you found yourself in real estate tech?
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, I spent the better part of a decade flying, $20 million attack helicopters around, shooting rockets off of them. That's pretty fun when you're 24 years old.
Yeah.
Also a little dangerous. But I had a really great experience in the Marine Corps. Learned a lot, not just about aviation, but about leadership and working with people. I got out of the Marine Corps and went back to business school. Came out, got into the tech world. You mentioned I did a little bit of work with investors and seed stage companies, equity investor. Spent some time there, and I got into real estate from technology. So actually got a call from a little startup out in Berkeley, California at that time called Zip Realty. And they said, hey, we want to put listings online. And I was a business development marketing guy. Had spent some time in the tech space in BD and marketing. And they said, come out and help us figure out how to generate leads on the internet. And so I was part of that original effort at Zip, putting listings online way before Zillow, and then that's but I remained on the tech side. Moved back to Colorado and said I like what's going on in real estate with this technology and real estate converging, but I don't know the first thing about being a realtor. So I got my license, built a website, and started generating leads for myself.
So you saw something in Zip Realty at the time. Now when you look at the industry, what are some of the things that you see are the next Zip Realty?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in real estate 2.0, right? Real estate 1.0 was put the listings online and search and display, search and find, and primarily buyers, right? And what's interesting, that's not really the heart of real estate, right? The heart of real estate is listings and sellers. And that's what I think is so exciting about right now. We're right in the core of real estate. And that's what I love what you guys do around hyperlocal, right? You'll love this story. So back in the early days of Zip, we conceptualized actually taking photos of the neighborhood and really building out a national neighborhood site.
Really?
Sound familiar?
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of committed folks, hyper localists on the ground doing that, and we didn't have that army of folks to do it, so it kind of got pushed aside. So that's why I love what you guys are doing, because you're really making that a reality. And but yeah, I think 2.0 is all about sellers.
So one of the things, if anyone does lead generation, they know like the high converting seller landing page to create seller leads is, hey, do you want to know what your home is worth?
Right.
Fill in this address, and then you'll be sent to another page where you got to fill in your name, number, and email, and you actually didn't get a home valuation on the spot. You actually just got sent a form to say someone will call you soon to do your home valuation. And iBuyers now come out. And everyone first, when they saw iBuyer, was, oh my God, is this going to replace real estate agents.
Threat.
And I'm seeing it as, no, I think this is just a way better version of that lead generation tool, which is instead of me waiting for a realtor to call me off that lead gen thing, I can actually see what my home, maybe at the floor, is worth.
Yeah.
What is it that you see with iBuyers when you first looked at it?
Yeah, I think your analogy of, like in the aviation world, you have sensors on your aircraft that identify friend or foe. And when the iBuyers came along, everyone was like friend or foe. And I think there's still a large camp that looks at the iBuyers as foe, as a threat. I think the more savvy brokerages are looking and peeling it back a little more and going, this is a really big opportunity for us. And talk about some of the nuances of that, but at the high level, I think it's an opportunity. I think it's going to be a fun ride over the next 5-10 years in the industry. And I think it's going to be good for the industry. It's certainly, I guess, if you take the approach, what's good for the consumer is good for the industry.
Now you thought it was a good enough opportunity to have a company in the space. So why don't you kind of let everyone know, like, what is Zavvie right now, and what's been the story to get to where you are today?
Sure. Like a lot of startups, Zavvie version 1 was different than where we are now. We're doing some things around helping hyperlocalists, because in my brokerage, 8Z, we are committed hyperlocalists, as you said. Cool. So we built some software to help an agent essentially be a digital farmer. Had a nice run with that, but we saw this opportunity in the iBuying space, so we shifted. I don't like to use the pivot word. We shifted, and the thread between hyperlocal and iBuying is actually pretty direct. When you think about a seller who might want to sell to an iBuyer, we believe fundamentally that if you're evaluating that, the data point you absolutely need is a hyperlocalist who really knows the market saying, hey, this is what selling your home on the open market will look like. This is probably what you can expect to get. This is how long it's going to take. So hyperlocalists are a key component, I believe, of the iBuyer world, because the seller needs that data point, right? Yeah. How can they compare offers when they don't really know what it looks like to sell on the open market? And then the best person to deliver that is someone who lives and breathes that market.
Now, why did you decide to make the kayak of iBuyers? Why not start your own iBuyer platform? Like, what went into your thought process of this is what I think the industry needs?
Yeah, I think we started experimenting with some different approaches. At my brokerage, we are an iBuyer, so have firsthand experience. And most of the iBuying we do at 8Z is really related to our clients. We're solving a problem for our client, or maybe a group of clients. Somebody needs to buy here, sell here. We've got a linked set of transactions, and we can come in and facilitate that chain of transactions by purchasing one of the homes, let's say. But as we peeled it back more and more, being an iBuyer is not for everybody. And of course, we started building some software that, you use the term kayak of iBuyers. Our software looks a lot like Google Flights. The only difference is instead of airplane tickets, we're talking about home sales. Very easy for a seller or an agent working in conjunction with their seller to just get a bird's eye view of what it looks like for each option, compare those options, compare the offers, and then make a decision accordingly. So,
what are the sources right now that you have in your database of like where people, what companies are submitting the offers to your platform?
Yeah, so the way Zavvie works is we partner with brokerages. For instance, we just launched with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Metro Brokers in Atlanta. Great operator, 2,400 agents in the Atlanta market, and so our technology immediately gets put in the hands of the agents, so they can consult with their clients about the options. We also, you mentioned that that page that every broker has on their website of the AVM, and I have one of those as a broker, and let's just say the silence is deafening. It's not exactly like seller leads just come running out of that page. So we take our tools and what we call the offer optimizer, this slick UX, Google Flights looking interface, and we put that on our partner's website. And so that becomes a much more powerful call to action for sellers. Especially a large brokerage like Metro Brokers. They have thousands of past clients, hundreds of thousands. And so exposing those homeowners, all of a sudden they start thinking about it.
So give me like a common scenario. So I'm a homeowner. I have a house that's $250,000. I type in my address. What am I now going to see?
Easy, super easy. You type in your address and what you think your home is worth. We actually consciously don't have an AVM because we think that is a discussion that's not really worth having. Your
market's worth what people are willing to pay for it.
It's a starting point, obviously, and especially if you're going to generate some offers. So what we do is we've got a data team, and my co-founder Stefan is our chief data officer, and they scour the country, market by market, iBuyer by iBuyer, looking at sales. They also talk directly to homeowners about the offers that they took or received. So we aggregate all that data, and then we're able to give an estimate of what the iBuyer offers may look like. Again, these are estimates just early in the conversation. So a homeowner and an agent can have that conversation of, actually, that looks like a pretty good option. Let's go get those offers. So and so then we have the easy button where the agent and seller working together. They complete a property profile, and then our team goes and gets the offers from the iBuyers. We aggregate them, consolidate them, put them in things agents have been doing forever, right? You got a multiple offer situation. Let's compare them. I'll give you my counsel. The agent may say, I've closed 5 deals in the last year with Zillow offers or Open Door, and it was a great experience. And just like they would advise their client about a buyer coming from another agent, they might say, oh, I've worked with that agent. They do a great job. We'll close.
How many iBuyers are there now?
There's the three big nationals. Obviously Zillow, Open Door, and Zillow offers, Open Door, and OfferPad. Redfin's in the game. Redfin now. And there's a smattering of smaller iBuyers that are in a smaller number of markets, like Perch, in Texas. And expanding to a few other markets.
Do you see this growing a lot? Do you see more people wanting to start iBuyers?
Yeah. I think you'll see. I think you'll definitely see. I keep going back to the travel analogy. You're going to have different, just like you have different flavors of airlines. There's the low budget. Here's the first class. I think you'll see a new category. I think we're already seeing a new category of iBuyer being created. For instance, I didn't mention Knock because Knock is not a pure play, hey, we'll just buy your house. But I think Knock is leading a group. There's a fairly, a coming group of companies that I would call facilitators, where they make, they help you make a cash offer if you're doing a buy-sell transaction.
What do you see as a difference between? So what do you see as the difference between these iBuyers?
Yeah, I think again they are not all the same, right? And we work with them, and they all have a little different philosophies. I think I'll speak to the two big guys, right? Zillow and Open Door. They both run excellent operations, and so we're streamlining and vetting these offers, these offer requests before we send them to Zillow and Open Door. and we're all about speed, right? If we can increase that turnaround time and facilitate it for the seller, that's a win for the iBuyers. That's a win for the agent and the home seller. And don't get me wrong, listing on the open market is still the primary choice for most sellers, right?
Yeah. Well, so what have you seen data-wise? Like I remember reading that, now this was a person selling their home without an agent, not even with an iBuyer, like a for sale by owner, sold their home for, on average, the average home was $250,000, and then without an agent, it was $194,000. And when you do the math, that's 34% difference.
Yeah.
And if you bring that number up to bigger housing prices, it's like that's a lot of money. That's a for sale by owner versus an agent. What are you seeing as the difference between the iBuyer and what agents can normally get for a house?
You know, it varies market to market, and what's cool about our offer optimizer is it shows what the quote unquote spread is in that market at any given time. And some of the spreads are very tight, you know, 1%, 2%, 3%.
Really?
Some are larger. Because iBuyers are not flippers, right? iBuyers are not, when I hear people say, oh, I've seen this before, this is just flipping 2.0, I'm like, no, you're wildly wrong about that. These are cash buyers that pay, you know, good prices. And I'm not, you know, I'm a realtor, so here's how I think about this debate of, is it market value, isn't it market value? I think is, I always joke with my realtors that when you walk up to the front porch of a home, there's not like a little rock on the side of the porch and you uncover it and chiseled in that rock is $249,000. You know, that's what this home is worth.
Yeah.
Value on a home is changing daily. It's a moving target and it's a range. If you come in and paint the front door of that home and maybe put some mulch in the front yard, all of a sudden it's not worth $249,000. It's worth $253,000. And the other thing that people just, a machine will never be able to do is the day you list a home on the market, its value is determined by its competition that's currently on the market. Because buyers make binary decisions. They walk into a home and usually within 1 minute, they rank it better or worse than the last home they just saw.
Yep. Okay.
So it's a moving target.
But they're getting pretty close to like market value. Is there certain markets that here's the criteria of a market that makes it better for iBuyers? There's more iBuyer offers in these kinds of markets, and there will be less iBuyer success in these kinds of markets.
Yeah, you know, the conventional wisdom is that the iBuyers are going to be in markets where the housing stock is fairly homogeneous, and you know, suburban landscapes. I think that's true to a certain extent for this initial wave. I think, you know, there's probably someone out there planning, you know, writing the business plan for a luxury iBuyer, you know, right now. And I think we'll see the buy boxes, as they call it, of the iBuyers will keep expanding. And so both geographically, price point wise, age of home, they'll continue to expand their buy box as they learn more.
So say I wanted to start an iBuyer.
Yeah.
What are the general steps? So how am I raising this money? How much money do I probably have to raise? Who are the LPs of this fund?
Right.
What are the processes to starting an iBuyer?
Yeah. So if you think about it, some agents and brokerages are already iBuyers kind of without realizing it. You know, maybe they do some purchasing and renovation, and so to really, you know, to be an iBuyer, you have to have enough money to buy one house, is the reality of it. To be an iBuyer at scale in your market, obviously you need a little more capital. So some people are going out to limited partners, raising a fund. In our case, at 8Z, we had some funds available, so we just self-fund that within the brokerage. We created a new entity. And it's, you know, you're buying assets, you're buying hard assets, so you can typically leverage your equity capital with a line or with debt. Which is what the iBuyers, the national guys, are doing. You know, and the numbers aren't millions, they're billions. But same concept.
So when you think about the future of the iBuyers, so
Yeah.
one, you talked about,
Yeah.
more iBuyers being able to come up with offers for luxury homes, different geographies, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any other part of this future that you see, like home ownership is a trend that is on the decline, but that's home ownership to live in.
Yeah.
I think real estate investing is on the rise.
Yeah.
Whether it be short-term
The
rentals,
good news is
long-term
home ownership's
rentals.
actually starting to tick back up.
Is it?
Yeah, we've bent the curve.
What do
Yeah.
you think has caused that?
Great economy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, do you think iBuyers are the way to now stimulate more buying of real estate? Is that like what's the
Absolutely.
future?
I think, I think this morning, Rich Barton talked about it. Markets that have liquidity, the turnover in those markets is faster. The velocity of the market increases. Just forget housing, any market, classic economic theory.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who's in the transaction business in real estate should welcome more transactions and higher velocity in the market. And I think that'll be one of the benefits that'll just kind of creep up on us. It won't be like all of a sudden, wow, overnight, transaction velocity is up. I think it'll slowly ebb up. I do believe it will help a home ownership. I think some people, because of the illiquidity of home ownership, it scares them from purchasing. And that's a tragedy because, as we know, the number one way to grow wealth in the U.S. is home ownership. Yeah. Homeowners are 42 times wealthier than renters.
Wow, 42.
42. And that's a Harvard study. So,
holy,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the agent's role in this, because some agents are like, what's my commission like? Is it the same? Is it less? Like, how does it work? And I'm thinking, hey man, if someone wants to sell their home with an iBuyer and you have to do very little work because the deal gets done, then maybe you can afford to make a whole lot less and just do more of these deals. What are you seeing the role of the agent is in this process, and what is their commission changes based on it?
So the big surprise, we live and breathe in the iBuyer world and the seller world. Because remember, the iBuyer world is not like some separate universe. It's actually sellers thinking about open market or instant offer. So the two worlds already exist together. And the biggest surprise is how much the consumer still wants the help of an agent. They still want representation. They still want a hand to hold. They're still probably trying to coordinate a buy-side transaction in a lot of cases, and they want that central point of coordination. They also want someone who's done it before, to take some of the. It's instant, but it's not, it's not like
you're buying on Amazon.
Yeah, you're buying. It's not one-click shopping like Amazon. And so that's been a big surprise. Not really a surprise, but to me, but I think to a lot of people, that's been a surprise. That I love the story. We had an agent we work with at Zavvie. She brought her seller in. They compared offers. I'm trying to remember if they ended up selling. She ended up selling her home, and I believe it was to Open Door in this case. And nice offer, good sale. This client was a real estate attorney. So for all the realtors out there, you know that a real estate attorney is like probably number one nightmare client. But this particular client still chose to be represented by her agent and paid her 2% for that representation. And then they went off and bought a home. She represented her on the buy side. That's a great win for everybody. The iBuyer purchased a home. The client had a great experience, freed her up to go buy. Agent was involved in both transactions. Everybody's happy.
Do you think it'll average around 2%? Do you think it'll kind of range a little bit? So what do you think agents will probably sustainably get by facilitating an iBuyer transaction?
Our default number that we load into, we work with our partners, but what we recommend is 2%. We do have partners that have moved it to 3%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, if you just pull back a second and you think the agent is just doing what they always do. They're representing a seller, and their job is to get that home closed. And their job is to bring buyers to the table, vet those buyers, counsel their client on what's the best fit for them, which isn't always money, as we know. I swim. The water I swim in is in the Colorado real estate market. We've been a multiple offer market for almost a decade. Yeah. So it's not uncommon for a listing to get 10, 15, 20 offers. And a big skill set for the agent is to help that seller pick the right offer. Yeah. Who's going to be easy to work with, who's going to close on time, who's going to not renegotiate, throughout the whole transaction. Right. And very often it's not the highest priced offer that wins. Very often.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So talk to me. Let's wrap up with the future of Zavvie.
Yeah, I think the future of Zavvie. Let's pull back and think about the future of the industry, because Zavvie, I think, will be like right in, and Mike Del Prete showed this, this Venn diagram of here's the iBuyers, here's the traditional, and they're already there's this wedge that already the two of them are together. Yeah. I think you're going to see that wedge grow into the bulk of the circle. So a brokerage is going to, and how a home is listed on the open market, will move more to an iBuyer type experience. We'll get faster. The process will be more streamlined. Yeah. The iBuyers will move a little more, and they already are. As they work with brokerages and they work with agents, they're moving a little bit more to the center. And so, at some point, what's a open market listing and what's a...
So now it's just the market.
It's the market, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I'd like Zavvie to be right in that market, because there'll be more options for sellers. So Zavvie's just going to keep adding what those options are, and so agents and sellers can make informed decisions, good decisions.
Cool. If people want to get in touch with you and get to know you more, or use the product, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, we're Zavvie.com, Zavvie.com, and you can check out our product there, play around with it. It's kind of fun. And I'm Lane at Zavvie.com.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Lane, for being on the show.
Yeah.
As always, if you guys want to stay up to date with what is going on in the industry, the new tech, the new companies, and the way it's going to go in the future, then subscribe to the YouTube show and the podcast so you can be great in real estate. And I'll see you next time.